You ever notice how sometimes everything starts aligning in ways you can't explain? Doors you never knocked on suddenly open, people you thought you needed just quietly fade away, and somehow, even in the chaos, there's this unshakable peace inside you. That's not luck, that's not coincidence, that's divine alignment, because when God starts helping you, it's not always loud, it's not always dramatic, it's quiet, subtle, precise. You begin to feel protected from things that once destroyed you. You start losing interest in what doesn't serve your purpose anymore. And no matter how much resistance you face, something inside you keeps saying, keep going. You're not alone. See, most people think God's help comes as miracles or instant blessings. But the truth, when He starts working in your life, He doesn't just change your circumstances. He changes you. Your energy shifts, your focus refines, your spirit strengthens, and the version of you that once begged for clarity begins to walk with confidence. So today, let's talk about the signs, those deep spiritual indicators that you're not just being lucky, you're being led. Because when God is helping you, 7 powerful things begin to unfold in your life. And each one is a sign that your life is moving from confusion to divine clarity. There comes a moment in your life when everything around you feels unstable. People change, plans fall apart, things you once depended on suddenly stop working. And in the middle of all that noise, confusion and loss, something begins to shift inside you. You stop reacting the way you used to. You don't argue with every misunderstanding. You don't chase every explanation, and you no longer feel the need to prove your worth to anyone. That's when you realize God is doing something deeper than what the eye can see. See, inner peace isn't about having a perfect life. It's about having a protected spirit. It's when your soul stops being dragged by what's happening outside and starts being anchored by what's happening within. It's a spiritual balance that only comes when God starts working on you, not around you. You begin to notice the difference in your energy. The same things that used to break you don't even shake you anymore. The same voices that used to drain you no longer have access to your emotions. That's not numbness, it's healing. It's clarity. It's God teaching you the art of calm in the middle of a storm, because sometimes His greatest gift isn't a miracle. It's the peace to wait for one. When God starts helping you, He doesn't remove every problem instantly. Instead, He strengthens you to stand still in the middle of the chaos. And it's in that stillness that you begin to see how much control He really has. You realize not everything needs your reaction, not every loss deserves your tears, and not every storm means destruction. Some storms come only to wash away what was never meant to stay. You start understanding that peace is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of trust. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin saying, I know this is happening for me. That's the moment when your mindset starts aligning with faith, not fear, and faith changes everything. Faith teaches you that chaos doesn't always mean something is going wrong. Sometimes it means something powerful is breaking through. The enemy always tries to bring confusion right before your breakthrough because confusion distracts, but peace keeps you focused. When you're at peace, you stop fighting battles that aren't yours. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your path. You stop begging for what was already meant to leave. This kind of peace is divine. It doesn't make sense to the world. People will look at you and wonder, how are you still calm? How are you still smiling? They won't understand that your peace isn't based on control. It's based on surrender. You've learned that peace comes when you let God drive, even when you can't see where the road leads. And here's the most beautiful part. When God gives you peace, no one can take it away. Not gossip, not betrayal, not disappointment, not delay. Because that peace isn't built on circumstances. It's built on connection. That's why some people lose their peace easily. They're connected to outcomes, not to God. But when your peace comes from Him, it's unshakable. You can be surrounded by chaos, but your spirit stays grounded. You can be in uncertainty, but your heart feels safe. You can face rejection, but still feel chosen. And the more you experience that divine peace, the more you begin to notice how it changes your reactions, your energy, your voice, and your presence. You speak less, but mean more. You expect less, but believe more. You stop needing closure because peace becomes your closure. When God helps you find inner peace, you realize He's not fixing everything around you to make life easier. He's fixing everything within you so you can walk through life stronger. He calms the storm inside you before He calms the storm outside you. So if you're in a season right now where everything feels uncertain and yet deep inside you're not panicking anymore, understand this. That's not indifference. That's growth. That's God showing you that peace is power. You're finally learning that His presence is greater than your problem, and His plan is bigger than your pain. Because when God is helping you, He won't always change the situation first. He changes you first, until the situation no longer has the power to steal your peace. And that right there is when you know you've stepped out of anxiety and into divine alignment. You've stopped fighting for control and started living in trust. And you found something the world can't offer: inner peace in the middle of chaos. There was a time when every ending felt like rejection. When someone left, it felt like abandonment. When something didn't work out, it felt like failure. You questioned your worth, your timing, your decisions. You replayed every conversation in your head, searching for what you could have done differently. And in that loop of overthinking, you didn't realize something sacred. God was actually protecting you. When God starts helping you, one of the first things He does is close doors. And here's the truth: most people don't see it as help. They see it as loss. They see it as pain. But those closed doors are not punishment. They're divine redirection. See, when you're too attached to what's familiar, God will shake your comfort zone until you let go. He'll close a door you kept knocking on, not because you don't deserve love, opportunity, or success, but because He knows what's behind that door could destroy your peace, your purpose, or your identity. And that's what love looks like from heaven's perspective: protection disguised as disappointment. At first, it hurts deeply, because closed doors don't just end things. They challenge your sense of control. You start asking, why didn't it work? Why did they walk away? Why now when I was finally ready? But over time, something miraculous begins to happen. You stop chasing explanations and start accepting direction. You begin to understand that not every chapter that starts beautifully is meant to end with you. You start seeing the patterns: how certain relationships only existed to teach you boundaries, how some jobs were only meant to reveal your worth, how certain people were never loyal to your soul. They were loyal to your comfort. And the day God closed that door, He was saving you from staying small. That's what growth feels like. Learning that protection doesn't always feel peaceful. Sometimes protection feels like heartbreak. Sometimes it feels like being left out, rejected, or forgotten. But later, when your spirit heals, you see the wisdom behind every no. When God is helping you, He will remove access to things you once begged for. Not because He wants you to suffer, but because He wants you to evolve. He knows that if you stay attached to what was, you'll never make space for what can be. And maybe right now, you're standing in front of a door that closed so suddenly it took your breath away. Maybe you're still holding the handle, hoping it opens again. But deep down, you know it's locked for a reason. Because when something is truly meant for you, it doesn't need to be forced. It flows. God's guidance often sounds like silence. It looks like unanswered prayers, missed calls, unreturned messages, and endings that don't make sense until months later. But those silences are sacred. They're the space where God whispers, I have something better. And eventually, it happens. You stop bleeding from the same wounds. You stop checking if that door will open again. You stop replaying what you could have said differently. Because now you know, if it required you to lose your peace, it was never aligned with your purpose. And one day, you'll look back and thank God for the things that didn't work out. You'll realize that the people who walked away weren't meant to go where you're going. The opportunity that slipped away was too small for the magnitude of your calling. And that version of you that kept chasing what was lost, she had to die so the healed version could live. That's when you'll understand the meaning of peace after pain. The door closed, but it didn't destroy you. The chapter ended, but it didn't define you. You finally stopped asking, why me? And started saying, thank you. That's divine maturity. That's spiritual evolution. That's what happens when God starts helping you. He takes away what hurts, but only after you've learned what it was sent to teach. So, if you're in a season where doors are closing one after another, don't panic. It's not rejection. It's redirection. It's God clearing the path so you don't waste your destiny trying to fit into places that were never built for you. Because the truth is, some doors have to close so your peace can open. And when you reach the point where closed doors don't hurt anymore, that's not numbness, that's healing. That's the evidence that your faith has matured. And the moment you stop chasing what God has already ended, you step into the beauty of what He's preparing next. There comes a point in your journey when you look back and realize, how did I even make it through that? You remember the nights you cried quietly because you didn't want anyone to see you breaking. The days when you smiled in public but collapsed in private. The moments you said, I can't do this anymore. And yet somehow the next morning you got up and did it anyway. That's what divine help looks like. It's not always visible, but it's powerful. When God starts helping you, you begin to experience something that can't be explained logically. Unexplainable strength and energy. You're not sure where it comes from. You just know that somehow you keep going. Even when everything in your mind says give up, something in your soul whispers, not yet. That strength doesn't come from willpower alone. It comes from divine alignment. Because when you start walking in the direction of your purpose, God starts supplying you with the energy to sustain it. He gives you strength for the step you're on, not for the whole journey, just enough to keep you moving forward. You'll notice that during your weakest seasons, something strange happens. You actually grow stronger, not because life gets easier, but because you learn to stop relying on your own power. You stop fighting every battle alone. You stop trying to fix what's beyond your control. And that surrender unlocks a supernatural kind of resilience. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet, steady, and deeply spiritual. You stop saying, I don't have the strength, because you realize it was never your strength to begin with. Every breath you take, every moment you rise after falling is proof that God is carrying you through places you couldn't walk on your own. You begin to feel a different kind of energy. It's not the adrenaline of fear or the push of desperation. It's calm strength. It's silent confidence. You move slower, but surer. You don't rush things anymore. You don't panic when life delays something you wanted, because now you know your timing isn't off. Your energy is being managed by divine design. You start seeing how strength isn't always about endurance. It's about trust. The more you trust God, the less exhausted you feel trying to control outcomes. You start saving your energy for the things that truly matter. Peace, purpose, healing, and love. You also start noticing how God removes your dependency on external validation. There's a sacred shift that happens inside you. You stop needing people to believe in you to keep going. You start believing in yourself because you finally feel what divine strength feels like. That's when your energy becomes untouchable. The people around you might even ask, how are you still standing? And you'll smile because you know it's not strength, it's grace. You shouldn't have made it, but you did. You shouldn't still be standing, but you are. You shouldn't still be loving after all that pain, but somehow your heart didn't turn cold. That's divine strength. That's when you know God is sustaining you from within. He's rebuilding you quietly. He's restoring your hope without announcement. He's refilling your spirit drop by drop, day by day, until one morning you wake up and realize you're no longer surviving, you're glowing again. This strength isn't about pretending to be okay. It's about being anchored in something unbreakable. It's knowing that even when life throws you into deep waters, you won't drown because you've learned how to float on faith. And that's the difference. Before, you used to fight against the current. Now you move with it. Before, you tried to fix everything in one night. Now you trust the process, even when it's slow. Before, you relied on your emotions. Now you rely on His guidance. When God starts helping you, your energy shifts. What used to drain you no longer affects you. You stop wasting your emotional power on things that don't grow you. Your focus sharpens. Your intuition heightens. Your spirit becomes alive again, and suddenly, you're doing things that once felt impossible. You're walking through pain with grace. You're speaking with clarity. You're dreaming again, not because life got easier, but because your faith got stronger. This unexplainable strength is proof that God is not done with you yet. He's reminding you that His power is made perfect in your weakness. That's why, when you're running out of energy, He refills you quietly, through peace, through prayer, through tiny reminders that you're not alone. So, if you're feeling exhausted but still moving forward, understand this. You're being carried. If your body is tired but your spirit refuses to give up, that's not coincidence. That's divine support. Because when God is helping you, you'll start to feel an energy that the world can't explain. You'll walk with a strength that defies logic, a calm that silences fear, and a light that no darkness can dim. And one day, you'll look back and realize you were never running on empty. You were running on grace. You see, when God starts helping you, it's not about sudden miracles or dramatic changes. It's about a quiet transformation that happens deep within you. The kind of change that can't be explained in words, but is felt in your soul. He starts shifting your energy. He starts closing doors that no longer align with your purpose. He starts surrounding you with silence so you can finally hear His voice. And through it all, He teaches you that peace is your power, strength is your proof, and timing is His gift. You'll begin to understand that every delay was protection, every heartbreak was redirection, every closed door was mercy in disguise, and every season of loneliness was preparation for something far greater than what you were asking for. When God helps you, He doesn't just fix your situation, He fixes your spirit. He takes away the weight of needing validation. He removes the urge to control what's beyond your reach. He teaches you to walk by faith, not by sight. And one day, you'll look at your life and realize the chaos didn't destroy you. It trained you. The silence didn't break you. It rebuilt you. The waiting didn't waste your time. It prepared your heart for something real, because that's how divine help works. It doesn't always show up with noise. It doesn't always announce itself with signs and wonders. Sometimes it looks like peace in the middle of pain, clarity after confusion, or strength when you should have been too tired to continue. That's the beauty of God's work. It's quiet but powerful, invisible but undeniable. So, if you're in a season where things don't make sense right now, don't lose faith. The confusion you feel is often the space between old doors closing and new ones opening. The silence you're hearing isn't abandonment. It's direction, and the strength you're feeling, even when you're weak, is proof that heaven hasn't forgotten you. You're not stuck. You're being shaped. You're not lost. You're being led. You're not breaking down. You're breaking through. Because when God helps you, truly helps you, He'll strip away everything that isn't meant for your destiny, and in return, He'll give you something priceless: peace, clarity, and purpose. You won't recognize yourself one day. The same version of you that used to chase, beg, worry, and doubt will be gone, and in her place will stand someone stronger, wiser, calmer, someone who finally understands that every closed door, every lonely night, every silent season was a setup for divine transformation.